India Smart Grid Forum is a public-private initiative of Ministry of Power. This was started about 2 years ago. Today we have more than 110 members covering government institutions, utilities, regulators, industry, academia, and research. We are organized into 10 different working groups, which is looking at the different aspects of smart grid, advanced transmission, advanced distribution, communications, smart metering, policy, regulation, consumption, cybersecurity, renewables, and microgrid, like that 10 different working groups. And some of the world's very powerful logos, you can see these are our members. Our mandate is to advise the government on appropriate policies and programs for accelerated development of smart grids. And government has also constituted a smart grid task force under the chairmanship of Mr. Sampetoda. This is an inter-ministerial task force with members from 16 different government departments, and they have statutory power. Our output, our recommendations goes to the task force from the forum, and task force work with the different arms of the government to convert that into policies and programs. So one of the first thing we did was to have a smart grid vision, formulate a smart grid vision and roadmap for India. So next couple of slides will take you through that. Why everybody talking about smart grid? The electricity grid is considered to be the greatest engineering achievement of 20th century that has made every other inventions possible. Yet, the present grid is also the world's largest analog machine. There is very limited visibility where the power flows. From the power system control room, you don't see where the power is flowing in a real-time basis. Every other network has got digitized. Electricity grid is yet to be done. The traditional grids have limited sources of power injection. You had few hundreds of power plants, long transmission lines, and millions of consumers. This is fast changing with rooftop solar and distributed generation, millions of points of power generation and millions of points of power consumption. It's a real paradigm shift, and to manage a grid of this nature, smarter technologies are required. An emerging smart grid that can monitor and control power flows in real time will be the biggest engineering achievement of 21st century that can meet the needs of sustainability, economic viability, and security. Developing countries like India can leapfrog traditional infrastructure build out to smart grids at marginal cost, like what has happened in the telecom network. Just for the interest of this audience, which is from different sectors, just like one slide on what is a smart grid. It's a grid with an electrical grid with additional layers of communication and information technology that can monitor power flows from point of generation to consumption, even at appliances level, and control power flow or curtail the load to match the generation in real time. This increased visibility and predictability in both generation and demand will allow utilities to manage this variability, integrate renewables, and reduce the cost of peak power. To the human body, the muscles, the nerves, the brain, the same way the nerves and the brains need to be built in the electricity grid to make it smarter. What's happening around the world? Most of this smart grid thing started with United States. Their main drivers for smart grid are emission reduction, demand response, economic benefits. They don't have a national level roadmap, but different states, different utilities have gone ahead with their own utility level smart grid roadmaps, state level roadmaps. New York State was one of the first one to have a roadmap developed. They kind of calculated a $7.2 billion investment from 2010 to 2025 will result in 18.9 billion economic benefits. And recently, last month, in the third week of July, they introduced a Smart Grid Advancement Act in US Congress. And yesterday, they introduced one more act, which is Smart Grid Study Promotion Act. This Smart Grid Advancement Act, if passed by the Congress, all utilities in US need to move into a smart grid. And they also calculate that 1 million investment in smart grid will result in 2.5 million economic output, $2.5 million. UK, the government took early steps. In 2009, they constituted a government agency, Electricity Network Strategic Group. They formulated a 40 year roadmap. They call it actually roadmap. Here again, the main thrust is transition to low carbon economy. And 10 billion pounds has been allocated for a set of pilot projects. Ireland, again, the government sustainable authority, energy authority of Ireland, it's a government agency. They developed a smart grid roadmap, electric vehicle roadmap, and wind energy roadmap, and they're envisaging 88% of renewable by 2050. Again, the main thrust is transition to low carbon economy and independence from imported petroleum fuels. France, no roadmap yet. A white paper from the industry is under debate. And Germany, the government is actively involved. I'll go fast. South Korea was the first country to have a act passed in 2011, Smart Grid Promotion Act, and a 3-phase implementation of smart grids in Korea with a total cost of about 24 billion. And the largest pilot project is being implemented in Jeju Island, which will be live by end of this year. Spend some $200–300 million is the cost of Jeju Island smart grid pilot project. Japan had a very reliable grid, and they were not looking at smart grid much until Fukushima. Post Fukushima, their focus has changed. They are talking about more than 33% of, earlier they were envisaging only 5 to 7% of renewable generation by 2030. Now they are talking about 1/3 renewable generation by 2030. A final roadmap is set to come, but smart metering has been made mandatory. Tokyo Electric, with 28 million customers, they have just finalized their smart metering program. China, this is one country which has come into smart grid in a big way. State Grid Corporation of China is leading the effort. They have more than 2,000 engineers working on developing standards. And they spent $7.5 billion for pilot projects. Some 220 pilot projects were done in a period of 2 years' time with military precision. And complete rollout they are doing in next 10 years. Almost 300 million consumers smart metering they intend to complete by 2015. Why are we talking about smart grid? What is our challenges? We have the 4th largest grid, but yet our per capita consumption is 1/4 of the world average. We have 79 million households which is said to be connected to the grid. And the 300 or 400 million people which are not on the grid, the number comes from the 79 million household multiplied by 4 or 5. And hundreds of millions who are connected to the grid, they face power cut every day. So access to, how can we leverage smart grid technologies for greater access to electricity for those who are not connected? Capacity has doubled in last 10 years. It will continue to double in the coming decades. So to manage a grid of this size, growing at this 8 to 10% per annum, requires smarter systems. And we are also pursuing one of the largest renewable energy programs. Integration of renewables requires smarter systems. Last year, we launched a electric mobility mission with 6 million electric vehicles by 2020, 4 million two-wheelers and 2 million four-wheelers. A successful rollout of electric vehicles require again smarter systems. And from the utilities perspective, the T&D losses reduction continues to be the biggest priority. And smarter technologies can increase the visibility of the power flows, which can help identify the losses and reduce the losses. Developed nations, as we talked about a couple of other countries where smart grid they have taken up very seriously. Their drivers being mainly low carbon, transition to low carbon economy. And they have reliable, stable electric grids with very minimum 2%, 1% annual growth rate. For them, smart grid journey is all about investing in smart meters, data communication, and IT analytics, etc. But in India, we need to do both. We need to build our electrical network, expand it, make it stronger and smarter, and also add additional layers of communication and IT to make it smart grid. So the drivers for India: expand access to electricity, power for all, improve reliability of supply to all consumers, no more power cuts, no more DG sets and inverters required, improve quality of supply, no more voltage stabilizers, user-friendly and transparent interface with utilities, and ability to save money by reducing peak consumption, and increase consumer engagement, a prosumer, a producer and a consumer, those who have their own rooftop solar or Industries with their own captive generation, they also engaging into the market as a producer and a consumer. And utilities, the top most driver being reduction of T&D losses, peak load management, reduction in power purchase cost, asset management, self-healing grid, renewable integration. And government and regulators want satisfied customers. They want financially sound utilities and tariff neutral systems for upgradation and modernization, and reduction in emission intensity, which we have already committed that 20 to 25% emission intensity will be reduced by 2025. So with these drivers, and also in alignment with Ministry of Power's overarching objectives of access, availability, and affordability of power for all, we formulated this roadmap, which has gone through several iterations. The last major public debate on this was conducted on 21st of June in Delhi, which was attended by all stakeholders, and final inputs which has come in that workshop has been incorporated in the final version of the roadmap, which has been put up to the Ministry of Power for approval, which we expect will come out in very soon. Only thing which changed is that MOP now doesn't want to, we aligned it with 3 5-year plan, 2012 to 2027. So the vision clearly talked about by 2027. That has been removed. Say that let's do it faster if possible, or let's not commit to a particular date. So here, some of the major milestones which we intend to achieve in this 12th plan, 13th plan, 15th, on a reduction of transmission losses above 66 kV. Many of the states it's more than 7-8%. I'm told MP has brought it down to 3.27%, and Maharashtra somewhere around 4.17%, but many other states it's much more than 7%. It's a big ticket item. There has to be programs to reduce it to 3.5% in the 12th plan, bring down to 2.5 to 2%, which is very, very tall target. And AT&C losses, reduce it to 15% in 12th plan, bring it down to 12% in 13th, and to below 10% in 14th plan. 24 hours availability of power at principal cities, 22 hours for towns. So a lot of short-term targets have been agreed upon, and it has been put, and programs and policies appropriate to that will be also suggested. Many of them need to be done at the state level, at regulatory commission level, state government level, and at utilities level. I won't read out each one of them. One of the main things is to demand response. Demand response is disconnecting some of the loads. Today what we do is disconnect the load shedding, disconnect the feeders. Instead of switching off the feeders, we'll be, through smarter technologies, we'll be able to disconnect some of the load in the customer premises. So by doing that, available power during peak hour can be given to millions more households. Also, incentivize categories of consumers, those who have self-generation, to island from the main grid during peak hours, use their own power, curtail their load to match their storage or available generation. And available power on the grid can be given to millions more households. So some of the policy level issues to be taken up at the distribution level, uninterrupted and lifeline supply of 8 to 10 hours a day by 2015. Electrification of all households by 2017. We have almost 79-80 million households. By 2017, that number will be exceed 100 million. Last 10 years through RAPDRP and other programs, by investing billions of dollars, 56 million households have been electrified, but they get hardly 1 hour electricity a day or few hours in a week. So as such, neighbors, morning also we talked about access issue. The neighbors in the villages, they have no incentive to invest in electrifying their house and connecting to the grid because they don't get electricity anyway. So this situation needs to change. The integrated technology trials through a set of smart grid pilots by 2015 based on the results, larger rollout into bigger metro cities and other areas by 2017, all urban areas by 2022. RAPDRP, building on the RAPDRP IT and automation infrastructure to the next level of smart grids. AMI, which is one of the basic building blocks, or smart metering or smart grids. Look at that. starting with consumers with about 20 kilowatt load by 2017, all three-phase connections by 2022, and all consumers by 2027. By 2022, it's about 200 million smart meters we are talking about. And another very interesting project which is currently in progress is National Optic Fiber Network, which was also conceived originally by the National Knowledge Commission under Mr. Pitroda, connecting 250,000 village panchayat on fiber optic network. So we have most of this panchayat in and around have a 33 kV substation or above. So same fiber with marginal cost, all 33 kV and above substations can be connected on fiber, which will enable having a backbone fiber connectivity for the entire power sector. So this I already talked about on 6. Conversion of EHV substations. So all the 400 kV, 765 kV substations which we are building today have numerical relays. Those are relatively smarter substations, but the old ones which we built 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 220 kV substations, 132 kV substations, which were traditionally built outside the periphery of a city or an urban area. Now the city has grown into, so that those substations are in the heart of the cities. So we are recommending that all those substations to be converted into gas insulated substations. Typically a 220 kV substation has 10 acre land. We don't need even half an acre land to convert it into a gas insulated substation. Rest, unlocking the value of the land will pay for itself for this. And unless we do that, all this 132 kV, 66 kV, 220 kV substation, if you don't modernize that, have them numerical relays and modern breakers, at 400 kV, 765 kV level, whatever we do, or at the distribution level, whatever smartness we bring, which will have no results. And development of new technologies like microgrid, storage options, virtual power plants, which the vehicle-to-grid technology, promotion of all these things, and mandatory rooftop solar for certain categories of consumers with high loads, microgrids in 1,000 villages in this 5-year plan, 10,000 in next 5-year plan. Those who can, as I said, island from the main grid during peak hours. On the transmission, on the PMU part, one of the speakers later will talk about it. Integration of renewables will be one of the major challenges. The Green Corridor report which Power Grid prepared being built. On the standard policy side, formulation of effective customer outreach programs, state or utility specific roadmap, which is required. Only one state which has come forward to do that, Maharashtra as usual. They have constituted, the regulator has taken the initiative to constitute a Maharashtra Smart Grid Coordination Committee with all stakeholders, and they have started the work of making a Maharashtra specific smart grid roadmap. And policies for grid connected consumer generation facilities, net metering policies for implementing energy efficiency in public infrastructure, EV charging, electric vehicle charging facilities, etc. All these policies we need to fix in the next 2 years so that the projects which are envisaged in the roadmap can be implemented. And also business plans need to be, the business models which need to be brought in. Tariff mechanisms, an effective information exchange platform that can be shared by all market participants, including prosumers, investment in R&D, training and capacity building programs. And also, this is a great business opportunity both for companies in India and also leveraging our huge manpower, technical manpower. I envision a future in which, this is the last slide. Our engineers from India will be not only building smart grids for the rest of the world, will also be managing it. So a need for a transparent roadmap that will enable all the stakeholders to build capacity. Some of the programs which came all on a sudden caught the utilities and the industry by surprise. So the suggested roadmap is also will be an evolving policy document that will give clear direction. So this, Mr. Pitroda will talk about it in the 3-stage implementation plan. I will stop here. Thank you very much. We have a India Smart Grid Knowledge Portal. That's a web address for that. This is a platform which all who are interested in smart grids in India should leverage this platform. A lot of information and updates are there on this indiasmartgrid.org, which is Ministry of Power, India Smart Grid Task Force, and Smart Grid Forum. We jointly manage it. Thank you very much.